Okay, we are talking about Node, and we are talking about kind of seeing on a Windows, especially if it's working. If you guys go and you search, you're going to see something called command prompts. Now, I'm a Mac person, Mac till I die. And so we have something called our ZSH. This is just called your terminal. So in the same way that I've got folders on my desktop that I can go and I can click through and navigate, this is a way that I can navigate through my computer without having to click on anything. I can just navigate if I know what we call a path. This is beyond the scope of what we're doing, so I'm not going to explain the terminal. What I will explain is if you go in, you can do PowerShell or command prompt. I would say command prompt is kind of the one you want to stick with in Windows, and you can just search for that. If you go to the bottom left, I think there's a little search icon. Just do command prompt. It'll be there. And then if you go node dash v, oops, maybe it's node dash v. Yeah, if you do node dash v and it doesn't, so right here it's saying, hey, I've got the version of 18.13.0. If you don't have that, what that tells me is, again, this is our variable name. We're saying, hey, when I say node, this is where I want you to go. And so if it doesn't show you this, if it says, hey, I don't know what node is, then that means you need to create an environment variable just to basically say, whenever I say node, this is where I want you to look. I've already downloaded it. You just need to look here. So that's how, and I believe the platform, let me pull it up. I believe the platform has a walkthrough. Give me 1 second. One thing to know about the platform too is if you are looking for something, if you're like, hey, I want to see where like I want to leave off, I don't want to have to click through the same thing again. We do have these bookmarks to where you can come here. And I've bookmarked because I've taught, multiple classes, so I've bookmarked multiple. But let's come here. And so anytime you see something, you'll see this little bookmark. If you click that, it'll start showing up in your bookmarks. So let's see if it's getting ready. Roadmap, set up your computer. So there's your VS Code. I'm not sure that it is going to have it because I think it's just thinking that you are building everything in your Algo app. So if you've got, if it's not working for you, then let me know and then we can walk through how to add that. And I can just take a recording for anybody else that needs it.
I did what you just showed on the command prompt, and it is showing a version number.
Okay, perfect. Then that's great. That means because on the whenever you're setting it up, you can click and it says like, oh, do you want to add an environment variable? And it does it for you. So that's great. So that means that once you are in VS Code, all you have to do here, I'll like open up my so all we'll have to do, so if you've got a version and you're on VS Code, then yeah, you are ready to rock, Roberta. All you'll have to do is come here. My code's opening up. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna look at yesterday's class. Nope. There we go. We look at yesterday's class. Here we've got all of our code, but here's our file name. It's part 1. Should we just go to terminal? Up here, new terminal. I'll come up here. And one thing it does is it opens up wherever you're at. So you make sure, okay, I am in lecture 1. Yep, my folder is lecture 1, the folder that my file lives. So in this case, part 1. And then we just say node and then the part or the whatever the file name is. We called it part one. If you start typing and you know it's unique because I don't see that there's any other file that even starts with a P, so I can just press tab and it will auto finish for me. And I run this. I don't have anything to like console log. Well, I guess we could do this. Save it, and then we run it again.
So
If you
to
just
run
press-
it, you just hit enter. Is that what you're doing?
Yep, yep. You just
Okay.
type in node and then the file name and you press enter. And then if you want to run it again, you just do your up and down on your terminal or on your keyboard. And that'll do like the last ones that you've done. So that's why I didn't have to type it. I just press up and it shows it up again. I click enter. And then now we get to 32 because it's now going and it's using node to run my file. Within my file, we're saying, hey, create this variable, this new age, and then console log it. That's it.
Okay, thank you. That helped a lot.
Yeah, of course.
I have a quick question.
Yeah. Okay, so we are working through this coding challenge, predict arrays. And what it's asking us for is a T diagram. Now, a T diagram is something that we can use to keep track of our variables, our values, things that we can use. Or sorry, keep track of the things we want to have, right? And so it's really going to come in handy tomorrow when we talk about loops. But for right now, we'll just go ahead and create one. All it does, it looks like this, right? Where we've got literally just a T. Now my left side, I'm going to have my variable. So this will be contact. I'm going to say CI for contact info. And then what its value is going to be on the right. So I'm going to say var for variable, but not, we know we use let. And then I'm going to say value, var and val. That's how it's going to go. Okay. So here I've got this contact info that's got an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. Now, can anybody remind me, how does an array keep track of these items? What does it use? There's a specific word I'm looking for here. How do we know? How are we able to target one of these items? Yeah, your index, right? Does anybody remember what does the index start at? Yeah, so it's a 0. Exactly. So Paula is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Sorry, my 3 is more of a backwards C. Okay. So great. All this is wanting to do is it's wanting me to console log this variable. So based off of that, what do people think, or what do you guys think is going to happen? What, if we're going to predict this, what is going to be console logged? Whenever I console log, what's going to happen? You guys feel free to come off mute. That way you don't have to type it.
It's gonna show everything inside.
Yeah, it's
From
gonna show all of
0
this
to
to 5. Yeah, exactly, Lucas. Because I didn't put a position here, right? Because I just said I want just this variable, it's going to give me everything. So if I run this, we get everything. Good idea. Okay, cool. So we knocked out number 1. Now we have our code snippet number 2. Where let's come here. I've got 2 variables. Now this isn't something that we talked about yesterday. So this is good that I'm teaching you. Good thing you guys showed up. We've got 2 variables. I'm going to say, oops. Okay. There we go. So if we got 2 arrays, one called produce and one called oranges, or frozen, sorry. And remember whenever I said yesterday in class that they all, each value or each variable, it is important to know their type because each type can do different things in the way that numbers can be added together and have some sort of addition. Strings have certain qualities that those classes provide them. Well, some of those things that they do are what we call methods. And you might wonder, I've heard the word function. What's a method? Essentially, a method is just a function that's associated with a class, meaning that it's just a function that a specific class has availability to. And so here, whenever I say frozen dot push, this is what we call an array method. So let's look up array methods, JavaScript. MDN or W3 schools, both of these are great, especially as you're learning, and all of those are linked in our class notes. But here you can see that there's quite a few different array methods that we have access to. Kind of doing one right now. To where one of them is if I wanted the length. Console.log frozen. Or let's do produce dot length. Now, if I console log this, let's see what happens. I run this. I get 2. What dot length will do is it is a method that tells me how many items I've got within my array. So we had 2. If I add, I just had a very delicious peach yesterday from old Trader Joe's. So I'm going to add in a peach. So now if I run this, because I've saved it and I run it again, I now have 3 items in my list or my array. Sorry. So if I do dot length, that is a method that'll tell me how many items are in my array. There's a whole bunch. We can go to string, where if I wanted this as a string, don't worry about this, a little bit too advanced right now. But then we also have these two, and these are going to be some big ones where we've got popping and pushing. Popping will take an item out of the array. So it's going to get rid of an item. It's going to shorten it. Pushing is going to push an item into my array. Now, one thing to note is that the pop method removes the last element from an array. So if I say pop here, it's going to get rid of mango. In the same way that if I say, you see that I have peaches, but I say produce dot pop, and then I do length, I should have 2. Right? Though it starts with 3, I popped. Because I popped, it got rid of the last one. And then I did my length, and now I only have 2, right? Because it's now been updated here. If I did it this way, and I checked my length, and then I popped, and then I checked my length again, we should see 2 different numbers. Yep, so we have 3, right? That was the length of this array. Then I popped, I got rid of the last one. And then I saw the length and it went down to 2. And I could even just show you by doing it this way, right? Because it's small enough that we can do this. Same sort of thing. We first have apples, oranges, peaches. I pop, I get rid of it. Now I just have apples and oranges. Perfect. What push will do is it'll do the opposite, right? It adds a new element to an array, but again at the end. And so whenever we are dealing with a push, can anybody anticipate now, knowing that if I were to console log frozen, what are we going to get here? Any ideas?
Broccoli, ice cream, hash browns.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get broccoli, ice cream, and hash browns because I've added this to the end.
Delicious.
Delicious. Just add them all together. So there are other ones that you can do. You don't need to, you don't need to necessarily, like if you wanted to add it at a specific, like if you wanted to add it to the front, you could do unshift. That'll add it to the front instead. So you can do just a whole bunch of different stuff. So I'll put this in chat. So if you are curious, then you can look at all these methods here. But yeah, pushes means it's like pushing it into it. Pop is like, think about you have a bunch of balloons and you pop one. Now you have one less balloon. Same sort of idea. Cool. All right. Now, here we go. Last one. We've got this var. Change it to what? Movie library, Bambi, ET, Toy Story. We pushed Zorro. We know what that means. So that means at the end, it's going to go to Zorro. And now what we can also do, and this isn't something we've talked about quite yet, is we can re-identify or because it is an array, it is what we call mutable, right? So what I can do is I can say, hey, this movie library at this position, its new value is Beetlejuice. So here we've got 0, 1, 2. Technically, we're going to have 3 by the time we get here, right? Because we're going to push Zorro to the end. So it's going to be Bambi, ET, Toy Story, Zorro. Then what I'm saying is, hey, whatever is at number 1, position 1, index 1, that's value is now Beetlejuice. So whenever I console log this, it's not going to say ET, it'll say Bambi, Beetlejuice, Toy Story, Zorro. So if I come here, Bambi, Beetlejuice, Toy Story, Zorro. And I can do that with any of them, right? If I wanted to change any sort of, I just change it by this index position and say, yep, this index position's new value is fill in the blank.
I have a question.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
Before you said it would replace, as soon as I saw the movie library 1, my first thought would be it would put Beetlejuice into position 1 and it would move everything to the right, but you're saying it's going to replace ET. Is there a way to say I want this to be in position 1 but not remove anything? Just I guess slide it to the right, or everything has a new position, or no?
So there is, let's see, JavaScript, add to array, specific index. I believe there's a function that does allow you to do that. So, yeah, so you could use splice where what it'll do is actually cut your array in half and then it'll inject what you want to put there at your position. And then it goes and adds it in. So yes, you can.
And it won't remove everything else, right? It just give it a new position.
Yeah, correct. It basically just takes looks like if this is correct. Now this is generative AI from Bard. So I'm not sure that this is going to work, but let's try it. Because it's saying with push now, unless I guess maybe they've updated JavaScript because you used to not be able to do this. If you add an element to an array at a specific index, you can use the push method. Let's see if it replaces it. Let's test this. Because that would be very fun.
I have not seen that.
I was gonna say I'm not either, but it's also Bard, which one of my best friends is working on it, but I'm like, bud, you're not crushing it at the moment. The chat GBT person.
Bard's not a
So we say element, comma, index. So let's try it. I have no idea if this is gonna work. Yeah, it looks like it. Maybe no. Let's see. Let's do index 1.
I think it's like shift or unshift or something like that.
Weird. What did it add? Yeah, see, well, Splice will do it. Splice allows you to do that. The index,
That's right.
and then you put 0 based on how many you want to delete, and then you put the item you want to add in. But this is incorrect. Yeah, that's incorrect. I mean, we just did it. Didn't think you could do that. at the end and returns the new length of the array. Yeah. So somebody said splice, make an array out of an array. Yeah, so basically what it does is in memory, it'll like cut this, make a copy, and then add it together. So you could do that. So if we said splice, and then we see that we start. So where do we want it to start? How many do we want to delete? And then what do we want to add in? So let's do 1, 0 hash browns. Let's see. Let's test this. Let's see if this works. If this is going to add it right here or shoot right here. And then it should say broccoli hash browns ice cream. Let's try it. And it does. Now, if I said 1, this should delete broccoli because it's going to delete how many before it. So I believe it deletes broccoli. Let's try it. Oh no, it just deletes the one after it. So ice cream.
So the one after that is how many you want deleted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, delete count.
Oh,
Number
okay,
of
so
elements to remove, yeah.
left side is add in this position, right side is delete after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is a great idea, and this is a great this is why office hour sort of rocks. You can kind of just investigate because there's no whatever. When we're dealing with VS Code, one of the powerful things is you can do some linters. So like there's different things that like I've got 64 things installed, right? Some of them you don't need, like dealing with AWS and Azure, C++, all that doesn't matter. But like Indent Rainbow is a great one to download because it'll just basically, especially as you have more curly brackets, it'll definitely help you. JavaScript, ES6 code snippets. Prettier is a great one to download. It can make your code prettier. We talk a lot about these in web development as well. But basically, as I do this, I can hover over and it's like, okay, it'll give me some information. So the way I would read this is, okay, this is a method. Just like I said, it's just a function basically that only works with arrays. And then I say dot splice. So I put the array name, in this case is frozen. Dot splice. So that's my method. And then splice can accept what we call parameters. So it accepts a start. So where do you want it to start? So where do you want it to go? How many do you want to delete? And then the items you want to have, what you want to add in. So in this case is I'm going at 1. I want to delete 0 things. And then I want to add in hash browns. And we see broccoli, hash browns, ice cream. If I would have said 0, then we should get hash browns, broccoli, ice cream. Cool. Any questions on this?
No, just something that I'm gonna have to put into practice because it
Totally.
sounds very easy when you say it. But I
Yeah.
assume when I go do it myself, it's gonna be a headache.
Yeah, it's just practice, practice, practice. Speaking of
It's-
which, I mean, we still got another hour.
Yeah, like-
Obviously,
You're not going to see Splice just yet in the platform.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Um, let's see. Okay, so let's go through some of this algo app. Oh my gosh. I don't even know that I've got. Okay. Okay, so let's do Somebody asked, where's the lesson on splice? We just had it, guys. That's where it is. Okay. So let's go back and then we will do level 2. Yeah, we'll do level 2 and we'll just kind of work through a couple of these. So level 2, we've got this activity. So we know, let's just kind of do these together. What do you guys think the output? What would I put here? Yeah, let's try it, Corey. 1, 2, 4. Submit. Cool, we got it right. Do you want to see how they did it? Nope. Because we crushed it. Okay. Var X equals 135, console log X of 0. Who's got it? 1, great job. Perfect. Next activity. 246, X of 1. Okay, how are you guys? I'm not gonna ask how you're coming to that because I think it's fairly self-explanatory. Var X equals 135, X of 2, yep. 5, becoming a race. X of 1.3. Yeah. You guys were not fooled by the decimal point. Okay, now this is a little bit more of a challenging one. We've got var of X equals 124. X of 0 equals X of 1. Console log X. Does anybody know? So this would be a great one. Let's not put the answer in the chat yet. So this would be a great one for us to kind of T diagram. So we're gonna say var of X is equal to 1, 2, 4, right? Then I can even say X of 0 is equal to 1. This is a little bit redundant, but we're going to do it just so you guys can visualize it. X of 1 is 2, 2. And X of 2 is 2, 4. Right? Cool. So this is our T diagram. We have already created, or we have all of our variables out, right? If I were to look at X of 0, it's going to say 1. If it's X of 1, it's 2. X of 2 is 4. Now, what it's saying is X of 0. So this value is equal to X of 1. And remember that we can redefine a value. And so what we can do then is say, okay, X of 1 is 2. So when I say X of 0 equals X of 1, I'm really saying X of 0 equals what? Anybody know? 2, exactly. That's exactly correct. It's 2, right? Because what this is doing, what the computer's doing is saying X of 0 equals X of 1. And what it's going to go do is it's going to say, what does X of 1 equal? Well, its value is 2. It's the same thing when I call a variable name and it brings me back Will. When I call X of 1, it brings me back 2. So then what X of 0's value is now 2. So if that's the case, X does no longer becomes 1, 2, 4. It becomes 2, 2, 4. So now we say 2. We'll come here. 2, 2, 4. Come here. Submit. Hey, we got it right. Are there any questions on that? Does that
And
make
that's
sense?
able- Yeah, and that's able to happen because it's var is immutable, right?
It is mutable. VAR
Sorry,
means that
other
it
way
can
ar-
change. Yeah, exactly. It's a
It's the
great
other way
call.
around.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So somebody said, so it's okay to assign an index in an array with a value in its own array. Yeah. Yeah. Because all that's happening is, let me pull out my handy dandy writing tool. Is it saying X of 0 equals X of 1? And so what the computer does is says, well, what the heck does X of 1 equal, or at index 1? And it goes in and it says, oh, X of 1 is 2. Let me take that 2 and bring that back here. for x of 0. And so x of 1, all it really means is this 2. So yes, that's very okay. Now, if I would have said, you know, if this said x of 9 and we don't have an x of 9, that's where we get an error, right? Because it's like, that doesn't exist. So if you're trying to set it to something that doesn't exist, that's where you would have an issue. But for right now, x of 1 does exist, so we're a-okay. Anybody else have any questions before I move on to the next one? Cool.
Nope.
All right. So var x equals 1, 3, 5. Var y equals x dot length. What is console log y? Okay, 3. How did you get to the number 3 here? So there's not 3 variables, right? I only have 2 variables. Yeah, 1, 3, 5. So the length, remember that method of length tells me how many values are in my array. So there's three values, right? 1, 3, and 5. So when we say x dot length, it just becomes that number, whatever the length, whatever the total number of values in my array is. In this case is 3. So y is going to equal 3. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Same thing here. We've got var x 2, 4, 6, 3, 7. Var y is x dot length minus 2 console log x of y. I think there's a couple people who jumped the gun a little bit. So let's do this. We've got x is 2, 4, 3, 2, 4, 6, 3, 7. Y, we don't have that yet. Well, let's do x dot length. Perfect. So x dot length is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5. So y equals 5 minus 2, which is 3. And it's asking us to console log x of y. And y's value is 3. So it's asking us to console log x of 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe you guys didn't. You guys crushed it. I assume that you guys were just doing this guy, but yeah.
I just got lucky that 3 happened to be in the 3 spot, but
Yeah,
I jumped the gun.
I assume that you guys were gonna just do Y again, just with a little bit of addition, but to those that did get 3 the fast way, or if you guys were just super fast, then great job. But yeah, Lucas, it was just serendipitous that 3 happened to be 3 here. Funny. Okay. So we can go a step further. 2, 4, 6, 3, 7, thinking of the same thing. Y is x dot length, which we know is 5. We learned that last time. So now we're saying console log x of 5 minus 1, which it does the math first. And so it's x of 4, right? So we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we say the number 7. Does anybody need me to draw that out and kind of how we did that? I know I did that a little bit quick, but it's just building off of what we did last time. But if you need me to, I'm happy to stop and explain that. So we only got 4 more.
Yeah, can you explain that one again, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So x is 2, 4, 6, 3, 7. Perfect. We know that. Var of y, is x dot length, which we know is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's the same thing as last time. So that's how I know it so quick. Now, what this is saying is, okay, console log x at index, or the item at, in my X array at position of Y minus one. Well, what the computer's going to do is it's gonna take Y, which is 5. And it's gonna do that arithmetic first, and it's gonna say 5 minus 1, which is gonna give me 4, right? 5 minus 1 is 4. And then because of that, it says, okay, now I can say X of 4, which we go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is 7. So my last value. And then I put 7, and that's how we get it. So it's just the one piece here, that's the arithmetic, if you will, is within this, Y is 5, because that's the length of this guy. 5 minus 1 is 4, and so we're just saying X at position 4. So just know that you can have some math inside of here, and it does this first, and then it checks and says, okay, X of 4. Somebody asked, array.length returns how many elements in the array, right? Not the index. That's correct, right? It's just how many elements, because it starts at 0. So really, you can always think of if there's 5 elements, or, if there's 100 elements, the last index position is always going to be 1 less, because we start at 0. So if there's 100 elements, the last index position is going to be 99. So in this case, because our length was 5, the last one we got is 7, because that's position 4. The other way it could have been written is let's say we had, and this is like it's a little bit more advanced, but I think you guys can do this. Equals 2, 4, 6, 3, 7. Let me say let Y. So let's say I didn't even have a Y, but I want to get the same value. What I could do is say console dot log X, because that's my array. And then I could say X dot length minus 1. And what it's going to do is it's going to come in here. Let me get rid of this so it's less distracting. It's just going to say, okay, I've got this X. Now I want to console log X dot length minus 1. A computer gets here and it says, I've got some calculations I have to do. So it does this calculation. It runs this method and it gets this length, which we know is 5. And it's say, cool, I have this. And then it's order of operations, right? And then it says, okay, great. Now I've got to do this 5 minus 1, which is 4. And so this will yield the same thing. Let me get this commented out. But it'll yield the same answer. It'll give me 3 or whatever, 7. Gives me 7. We made it a little bit easier on you guys. And instead of doing this, we just had Y. And then said, let Y equals X. They do the same thing. As we see, we got the exact same answer. Any more questions on this one? Okay. Okay, so now we're on 10. Oh, wait. Yeah, activity 10. Okay, so, we just did this. I literally didn't even know that was going to do that, but here we are. So we got X again equals 1, 3, 5, 7. We're saying X of 0. So we're redefining this number 1 is equal to X of X dot length minus 2. So let's do X dot length here is equal to 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 elements in this. So what we're saying is X of 0 equals X of 4 minus 2, which we know is 2. So we say 0, 1, 2. So it's gonna say x of 0 is equal to x of 2. X of 2 is 5, so x of 0 becomes 5. So then we're gonna have 5, 1, oops, let me go. 5, 3, 5, 7. Yep. Okay. Now let's walk through this real fast. 'Cause
So
I'm
you have to
sure-
put the whole code, not just the answer is 5. You have to rewrite all of it.
Well, because what is it asking for? It's asking for X. So you just put whatever it's asking for. It's console logging X. So what we're expecting to see is X is this guy, right? We're just changing its value. So it starts at 1357. Then we say X at position 0, this guy, is equal to length minus 2, 4. So it's 4 minus 2, which we know is 2. So we're saying X of 0 is equal to X of 2. I go and I look at X of 2 and I go 0, 1, 2, which is 5. So we say X of 0 is equal to 5. So now that I've changed that, X becomes 5, 3, 5, 7. And so then what it's wanting is, what is it gonna show the output of the following code? Well, for console logging all of X, this is what it's wanting us to show. Does that make sense? Cool. Any questions on this? Is this helping you guys at all? Helping kind of understand? Cool. Okay. Let me clear those. Let's go to the next one. I've only got 3 more, and then I think level 3 starts doing for loops, which we're not there yet. Okay, same sort of idea, just gets a little bit more complicated, so let's work through it. Same thing, X is 1357. What this is saying is X of X dot length minus 3 equals X of X dot length divided by 2 plus X dot length divided by 4. Console log. Ugh, yuck. So let's break down this first part on the left, and then we'll do the right. X dot length is equal to what? What is X dot length equal to? It's equal to 4, right? Cool. So let's go ahead and pretend this part does not exist at the moment. Yuck, we hate that. So we're saying X of X dot length minus 3. So what are we actually targeting here? So we're saying X of 4, because that's my length, minus 3. Which we're saying is X of 4 minus 3 is 1. Which is, just like Vega said, which is 3, right? So which is 3. But right now we're just saying, okay, X of 1. Let me erase this. Cool. So on the left side, we're saying, okay, that's X of 1. We've decided that. We know that. I'm going to draw that. So I'm going to say X of 1. Okay. Now we can get rid of a portion of this. I'm not going to worry about this part yet. Let's just break it down. We're going to say X of something. We don't know yet. We're going to say X dot length, which is 4. divided by two. What is 4 divided by 2? Just 2, right? So we're gonna say 2. So we're saying x of, so far we know that it's 2. And then we erase this other side. And then we see, okay, it is a plus. And I say x dot length, which we know is 4, divided by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. So what this is really saying is x of, oops, 2 plus 1. So really, all we're saying is 2 plus 1 is 3. So all we're saying, it's a really complicated way to say x of 1 equals x of 3. Right? And so here we've got x of 1, which is 3. This position is no longer 3. It's equal to whatever value is at x of 3. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 7. So now my var x, just like you said, Vega, yep. X equals 1, 7. Oops, that's a big 7. 5, 7. So let's go type that in and see if we're correct. 1, 7, 5, 7. Oops. And we are correct. Are there any questions on this?
And I see the computer's gonna do math, just like we were taught math. It's gonna do multiplication and division first before the addition and subtraction. It's not gonna go by order. It's gonna do it how it's normally done, right?
Yeah, it's gonna do orders of operations. So I think it
Okay.
even talks about, let me clear that. It talks about that here. So it does it, orders of operation.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it'll walk through exactly how it's gonna do that and how the computer does it. It just follows orders of operations. Okay. We just did that one, right? Okay, we've got 2 more. Yeah, of course. See ya. We got this guy. Same sort of idea. Where we've got X is this entire array, Y is this array. And now we're just kind of getting both, right? So we're saying X of 2, which is this 5 right here, is equal to, so this position, so not 5, but this position is equal to Y of X dot length, X dot length is equal to 4, right? There's 4 positions in my X. 4 minus 3 is 1. So all this is saying is Y of position 1. And then I console log X. So we're saying X of 2. So this guy is equal to whatever is at Y of 1, which is 4. So then we should have 1, 3, 4, 7. Cool. Because again, we say Y of 1 is 4. So we're in X of 2. So there's 5, or this position is equal to 4. So that's where you get 1, 3, 4, 7. Any questions on this one? Cool. The last one of the day. Delete my work. Okay. Same sort of idea, just a little bit more. Is we've got these 2 arrays, X and Y. We have X dot length, which we know is 4. So y, we'll just say 4 minus 3. Then we're saying x of 0 is 1. Y of 0 is 2. So I am saying x of 3. Right? Here I've got y equals x dot length, which is 4 minus 3, which is 1. So I'm saying y of 1. So we're saying x of 2 equals whatever value is at y of 1 plus whatever value is at x of 3. So let's actually draw that down here. X of 2 is equal to y of 1 plus x of 3. For showing our work, this is a y. Cool. So x of 2 equals, what is y of 1? Anybody know? Yep, it's 4.
4.
Plus x of 3.
5.
Not quite 5.
7.
7. Yeah, great job. So now we're saying x of 2 is equal to 11. It's equal to 11. Cool. So now we're console logging x. We know x of 2 is 11. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3. So then now my value is, oops, I'm still in my drawing. 1, 3, 11, 7. Hey, there we go. And we got it. That was my dot. Okay, any questions on this one? Does that make sense? Anybody need me to walk through this again?
No, makes sense.
Makes
I
sense.
feel like at first it's gonna use the T diagram a lot. It's
Yeah.
gonna be pretty slow at first.
Absolutely.
Apparently life is math.
Yeah. No, this is the, it's kind of funny. This is the most math you'll do. But the idea is that you will grab things from certain, when you're dealing with APIs, you're dealing with X, Y, or Z, you'll grab things and it'll be in the place here. And so it's just representing that this is a value that we're getting, and then we're going to put it in place here. And we know the computer's going to go do something and come back. And so that's what it's representing. You're not doing a ton of math. This will like be the most math heavy portion of the entire course.
It's,
So
I'd say, just to add on to that, you will be utilizing a similar part of your brain, because when you're dealing with data, like, you need to kind of be able to navigate that data, right? So it's all logic based, just like this.
but you get, and Paul, you can attest to this too, right? It's like you get way faster at it. Like you can look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I can do this in my head.
It becomes second nature. It's like
Yeah,
any,
but
put in the time and the practice, you get better at it.
yeah, whenever I first started the boot camp, this was the hardest thing for me. I had the hardest time, and I love math, and I'm good at math. I could not understand how this would work when I first started. So if you're like sitting there and you're saying, "Hey, yo, this is tough," it is tough. It is hard. But yeah, just like you said, muscle memory. It, the more you do it, the more you practice, the more you're like, "Oh yeah, I can boom, 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 and I'm good to go." Somebody said that they missed challenge 10. 10. Yep. Great. It took me a bit to, the videos really helped. Like on this. Okay. Yeah. So 10. So let's break this down, right? We've got var of x equals Oh yeah, this is the one we broke down this way. So let's say X, and that's gonna equal to 1, 3, 5. If X of 0 is equal to, who's asking for it? Claudia, what is X of 0 equal to here?
So x of 0 would be 1, right?
Yep, exactly. What is X of 1?
X of 1 would be 3.
Uh-huh, perfect. And then X of 2,
5.
perfect. Great. So the reason we need to know that is because what is happening here is, did I skip? Oh no, this is a different one, huh? This is a different one. Well, we're gonna finish with this one and then we'll then we'll go to yours. So sorry. I thought I clicked on it, the wrong one, but this is a little bit more of a challenge. So this will be fun. And this is where the T diagram is really gonna come in handy. So I guess we can jump into some of these too if we want it. X of 0 at the moment equals 1. But because remember, JavaScript reads line to line, it's going to read this top part. Then it reads this line. And now we are changing the value of X of 0. And we're saying, hey, instead of it being equal to 1, it is equal to whatever X of 2 is equal to. So X of 2 is equal to 5. So we change this to 5. Usually if I'm writing this down, I like to cross it out. That way I can see the progression. I can't do that right now. But X of 0 becomes 5. Cool. So at our current, if we were to just console log X right after this, then it would be 5, 3, 5. Well, then we say, hey, X of 1 is equal to whatever is at X of 0. Well, X of 0 we now know is 5. Right? Because it just changed. If this was flipped, right? If X of 1 equals X of 0 was before this value, this X of 0 equals X of 2, then it would have been this original number. But because it's sequential, because it's next, X of 0 has already changed, right? So now X of 1 equals whatever X of 0's value is. X of 0's value is 5. So X of 1's new value becomes 5. Then we console log X, and somebody already said it. It is 5, 5, 5. But it all is based on the order. Submit it. Yep, we got it perfect. Somebody asked, is it okay if the value of an array is the same? Yep, that's a-okay. Because those 5, 5, 5 could mean different things, right? It could be, think about like if you had an array of birthdays and all of a sudden 3 people have the same birthday. That's okay because it's 3 separate people. Yeah, it's like Paul said, they're independent of each other. Okay, that was this one. Any questions on how we got here? And then we'll go do yours, Claudia. Sorry to call you out on not even your question. How embarrassed. My wife's in law school. She's about to finish. And they do this thing called cold calling where they'll just be like, hey, Catherine, what do you think? She's like, it's the worst. And one time I was teaching and she heard me say, hey, what do you think, so-and-so? And after I came down, she was like, I never thought I'd be married to a cold caller. Do you understand the fear and the stress that gets put into me whenever somebody randomly calls and you just did that to somebody? I was like, dang, sorry. So, it was kind of funny. So sorry to cold call you, even though,
We only do one. It's
yeah.
all good.
Yeah, we do it for fun. Yeah. Oh yeah, Lucas, I always get lawyered. Like marrying a lawyer. We got married before she was a lawyer. And now she's an attorney. I will never win a fight. And she just uses big words. It's like your train of logic doesn't even. I'm like, okay, you win, dude. Whatever. That's fine. I don't even care. Okay. Claudia, we're bringing it back here. Now I need you to run point. We're gonna walk through this together. Okay. So we've got a couple different things here. We've got this var of X, right? So I'm just gonna say X, and that is equal to 1, 3, 5, 7. Perfect. And now we're saying var of or X of 0. So this first position here is equal to X dot length -2. Well, I don't know how much you were here. Were you here when we were talking about array methods, Claudia?
No, I missed that part.
Okay, so that maybe is part of the stress here. So there are these, let's do array methods. And we talk about this and I kind of go a little bit more in depth in the recording. So it is all recorded, so you'll be able to see it. But basically, there are certain methods, and what a method is really just what can my array do? Right? What can it do? If you remember yesterday, I'm not sure if you were in class, but we talked about it is it's important for JavaScript to know what type of variable or value we have because they are associated to what we call a class. Now that's beyond the scope. You don't need to know what a class is right now. We're going to learn those later. But basically it's just, hey, if it is of a fish class, well, it can breathe underwater. If it is of a cheetah class, right? Or a big cat class like XYZ, right? You understand how certain different things have different functionalities. If you're a human class, then maybe you can speak a language or interpret or understand a language or have emotions or whatever separates us from other animals on this planet. And so the same thing sort of happens when we're dealing with different types of data structures or different data types, whether it's a string, a number, a Boolean, a composite type like an array, a tuple, a dictionary. They all have different functionalities that they have. The same way that when we saw yesterday that a number, we can add two numbers together, but if I do the strings, if I add two strings together, it doesn't really operate the same way. Well, that's what we call a method, right? If we're saying, hey, I want to do something specific to an array, I can use what we call methods. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. There's two that I really suggest, W3 Schools or MDN. They both rock. They're both going to help you. But one method we can use is this dot length. So what I do is I say my array name. And because it's an array name, we know that it is our array class or it's array type. And basically it knows that because I've already declared it here. And remember the square brackets tells JavaScript, hey, this is an array. JavaScript says, okay, cool. Let me put in my back pocket all the functionality that arrays have associated to fruits. So when I say fruits dot length, what that will do is it actually return to me a numeric value of how many items are in my array. So in this case, it would give me the number 4. So that's all it's doing is it's going in and it's saying how many items are in X. So by doing that, we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 items here. So X dot length is going to be 4. Now there's quite a few other ones. There's pop, there's push. You can look them all up. There's shift, there's splice is what we learned earlier. You can slice, concat, like there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. But all we need to know is that X dot length is 4, right? That equates to how many items are in there, which we now know is 4. So really what this is saying is X of 0 is equal to X of 4 minus 2, which we know that is really 2, right? Because 4 minus 2 is 2. So we're really just saying X of 0 is equal to X of 2. 0, 1, 2. So we're saying X of 0 is equal to 5. So now if I were to console log X, because we changed this number, X of 0 is no longer 1, it's 5. So we're going to say 5, 3, 5, 7. Does that make sense? Does that help clarify a little bit?
Yes. So I guess my biggest thing, so I watched the video and I understand how we got 5, 3, 5, 7. The continuum is kind of where I'm confused because there's doesn't seem like it's a pattern.
What do you mean? What do you mean by pattern? Oh, did
I
I cut
guess
out?
like
Oh, okay.
you're adding by 2 in this one. Is that the like subtracting by 2 and then adding by 2?
No, 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 no. There is no pattern to be had. What we're doing is we're defining and saying x of 0. We can say that if I wanted to say x of 0 equals unicorn, I could. That's just me. Even though I've already declared this, I can change because remember, arrays are mutable. Right? So I can change the value whenever I want. So if after I declare this x, I say, hey, x of 0 is unicorn, I'm saying, hey, the new value for this position is unicorn. And then it would say unicorn, comma 357. There is no pattern.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm just
Now I
basically
understand.
rewriting. Remember how I said how yesterday, if you were in class, we talked about name and how I could say, you know, let name equals Will. And then I said name equals Cody and it changed it. Same sort of thing here. We're just changing the value of that. And because an array is mutable, meaning it can change, it does. And so we're just saying, hey, the new value at this position is whatever this gives me. And so what this equates to is the length is 4 minus 2. So we're saying, hey, the new value for x of 0 is whatever the value is at x of 2. If we look at this, that's 5. So it's basically like we were saying, what the computer does is it then breaks it down to even further and says, hey, x of 0 equals 5. And so then what it does is it goes into my array, finds that position and says, oh, get out of here. Kick rocks 1. You're now 5. So 5, 3, 5, 7. Does that make a little bit more sense?
If it were immutable, it would just give you straight up error and that's the end of it, right?
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. You can't change it. It is.
It
Yep.
might help to think of an array as just a container, right? Like it's a shelf and each spot on the shelf contains a thing. You could add things to that shelf. You can replace things at a specific position on that shelf. It just holds stuff in a very specific position.
That's a great analogy, Paul. Great one. Okay. We've rocked through all of level 2. Are there any more questions you guys have? This is office hour. We've got about 20 minutes left. Any other questions, friends? No for now. Yeah, of course. Okay, well then I will stop sharing and stop recording.